Nothing we have is meant for us. So even my life is not just for me to live, it's for me to be able to create another life. And that's why the first commandment in the Bible is be fruitful and multiply. You have a life? Well, what are you doing with it? Well, it's mine. I'm keeping it. you're, not, you're just taking up space. Your
Yeah.
existence is unjustified. So can you imagine if everyone understood and knew? I go to work every day. I spend hours there serving God. No more depression. Now you don't have to blame anybody for your miserable existence. You don't have to hate the company and hate the corporate world and hate the politicians and hate the government and hate the what you're doing fine. So the guy who invented the bread slicing machine, he's going straight to heaven.
he served God, he served the world.
Right.
I think what I find so interesting listening to that is the similarity between the values that you just stated and the values of philosophies like Buddhism, where they say the self is not real, the illusion of the self. Everything is interconnected. You don't live for yourself. Evolution, Darwin's theory, were all built to recreate and repurpose, as you said, the first commandment. So many people argue over these things. People that believe these different ideologies are always arguing. And yet, they believe the same thing, just in different ways. I find that really interesting.
Because reality is reality, and everybody wants to put their little spin on it to make it unique. Essentially, yeah, we're all talking about the same thing. But those little differences can be fatal.
People wage wars over those small differences. I just wish that humankind could be more compassionate toward each other, be foster more compassion, be more understanding.
Well, compassion can be dangerous. You can have compassion for the wrong people. You can have compassion that is inappropriate, unjustified. Just like you can love in a very menacing and unholy way. Sick love, you know? You can have sick compassion. Like, for example, there was a story in the paper many, many years ago. Some guy killed this woman's son, and in the courtroom, she kept shouting to the murderer, "I forgive you, I forgive you." It is so immoral. What do you mean you forgive him? You're not God. He committed murder. Is that an offense against you? You're not in a position to forgive him. First of all, he's got to go through a trial, and the court will decide whether he's guilty or not. What do you mean you forgive him? That is so immoral. But she was what they call today virtue signaling. You want to show everybody how good you are? You're not good at all. So, sometimes compassion can be So we want to be compassionate like God, not our own invention or our own form of compassion. So
Do you believe that people... Go ahead.
If God says a certain crime is punishable by death, don't be more compassionate than God. Oh, we're against the death penalty. Be more religious than God, please. Because you're going to end up letting murderers go and they'll just kill again. Don't invent compassion. Use your compassion the way God wants you to.
Do you believe that people are naturally good or evil?
People naturally aspire to be better. Do they know what's better? Not necessarily. So you got to separate the two. People who believe that human beings are basically good think that that includes the knowledge of what is good. You're not born knowing what is good. You're born with a desire to be good.
All humans?
But the Nazis thought they were being good.
Interesting. So everyone believes they're doing good. They believe in their heart that what they're doing is good. But it's not always good.
That's
so
why
when
there's something refreshing about the outlaw.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be good. I'm bad and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
There's something nice about that. Like, that simple honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And those people trying to be good, they're so pompous and they're so arrogant and they're so full of themselves. So everybody believes they're doing good. They just never stop to check. How do you know you're doing good? What makes what you're doing right? Because you think so? Because you say so?
I've thought about that before, how... Well, see, what you said with compassion earlier. Should we empathize for the people that believe they're doing good? And should we try to teach them, try to give them education to change the way that they think? I think that what a lot of people feel, for example, people against the death penalty, it's often for people who had justifiable motives. So, and many argue that there is no such thing as a justifiable motive for a sin. There's no reason that justifies you killing another person. If it was morally a, let's say, more justifiable motive, let's say the person that you killed your child, do you give that person more of a chance, or are they equally... should they be equally punished as someone that killed a random person out of cold blood?
Everything has to be taken into account. There are no black and white hardcore commandments.
Mm-hmm.
A value system says anyone who murders deserves to die. Does that mean everyone who murdered was put to death? No, of course not. You got to consider whether he was of sane mind. You got to consider whether it was intentional. You got to consider whether he was doing it out of passion or cold-blooded. Was it a spur of the moment thing where he lost his temper, or had he planned it cold, maliciously? There's murder one, there's murder two, there's manslaughter, there's negligence. You can't you can't just be that simplistic. You killed somebody, you die. That's why we have not only a written Bible, but we have the oral Bible as well. So what was Moses doing on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights? Memorizing 10 commandments? He was being told what each of the commandment means and how it's applied. So that it's not deadly. Well, you did this, that's it, you're dead. That's not justice, that's not right, that's not God's way.
You just finished watching a clip of the Grateful Podcast with Jack Wagoner guesting Rabbi Manis Friedman. This was an amazing episode. I hope you enjoyed this clip, and if you want to see the full thing, click right here. Come on, do it. I know you want to. You will not regret it. Click right there.